Grand Rising, brothers and sisters. I want to tell you about a little story. See, there was this man who asked a monk a simple question. He says, if God is real and the universe has purpose, then why does it seem that the world is so broken? The monk, well, he just laughed. He didn't answer right away. He just led the man over to some clear water. And he says, look into that water and tell me what you see. And the man says, well, I see the sky, I see trees. And then the monk picks up a rock and he throws it into the water. And he sees the water ripple and move, and then everything just fragments and scatters. Everything just breaks up and bends. And the monk asks, well, did the sky change? Did the trees actually change? The man says, well, no. And then the monk says, well, see, the world never broke. The world never broke. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had a day where the entire world seems against you? Where everybody's battling against you, and then it just seems so heavy? Where every conversation feels so intense? Every problem feels bigger than it actually was? Sure. But now, think of a day where you felt different, grateful, happy, excited. It's the same world, but it looked beautiful, lighter, different. Where the same people were there, but they seemed kinder, nicer, like they woke up on a different side of the bed. Where the same thing seemed different. What changed? Did we? Did the world? Did the reflection? The same thing happens with humanity. When the mind becomes disturbed, the world appears disturbed. When the heart becomes divided, the world appears divided. If you want a real healed world, start becoming still and healed yourself. When you become still enough, you see clearly again. My friends, this is what I want to talk about today. Because the world we see may not be as separate as we'd like to seem to think it is. In fact, the deeper mystery might just be this: we are not just living in the universe, we are participating as it. Think about the word for a moment. Universe. Universe. One verse. One spoken expression of existence. Many traditions describe creation the same way. In the Gospel of John, he says, in the beginning was the Word. Creation describes it as speech, meaning spoken into form. Father God speaking reality into existence. And inside that word, universe, there's another phrase hiding in plain sight. You in verse. You inside the verse. You participating in the spoken story of existence. The universe is the verse, and you are in the verse, participating with it as it, which means something remarkable. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take. Another line to the living poem that is reality. Father God speaks the existence of the universe into existence, and within that universe, each of us speak our own verse. Our thoughts become language. Our language becomes belief. Our belief becomes behavior, and our behavior shapes the world we experience. Matter begins to reflect what matters. Think about that. Think about a conversation that we hear every day regarding fear, anger, division. But now imagine in a different dominant world that we start to use words that are different, like patience, understanding, curiosity, hope. Because language shapes perception, and perception shapes behavior, and behavior shapes the world we wake up into every day. So the question becomes very simple. What words are you contributing to in the verse? Because the life is not simply something we observe. It is something that we participate in. A reflection of a reflection. A mind reflecting spirit, a spirit reflecting creation. Creation reflecting consciousness. Infinitely. And in that infinite reflection, each of us are both an observer and a participant, a director and a producer, an actor and an extra, which means mindfulness is not just spiritual practice, it's a responsibility to be mindful of what we think, be mindful of what we speak, be mindful of what we project into the living verse of existence. Because what we speak becomes the story, his story, history. And every story shapes the world that follows. So I want you to imagine something with me for a moment. Imagine a world and what it would look like if millions of us just woke up tomorrow and started to remember who we are. Not just citizens of a nation, not just labels and identities, but living expressions of something sacred. Imagine what would happen if people walked into their workplaces, their homes, and their communities, and they simply treated every person they met as another reflection of the same divine source. Imagine a world where compassion became normal, where every forgiveness became strength, where every curiosity replaced our judgment, where love stopped being an abstract word and started becoming a daily decision, a verb. Proverb, the word and the world would change, not because of governments forcing it, not because of institutions demanding it, but because of consciousness waking up to it. And here's the beautiful truth, that the transformation does not start with crowds. It starts with individuals, you in verse. It starts with someone deciding today, I will be the reflection I wish to see. Every act of kindness, every moment of patience, every courageous choice to love instead of fear sends ripples into the story of humanity. And just like that, the ocean, the lakes, the rivers, the morning universe just expands farther than we could ever realize. So take a moment right now. Take a deep breath and think about that one person in your life. Someone who just might need a little patience. Someone who just might need a little forgiveness. Someone who just might simply need to be seen. Now imagine that ripple, that one moment, that one compassion that could create something amazing in their life. That is how verses change. One line at a time. And maybe, just maybe, this is the truth humanity is slowly remembering. You are not just living in the universe. You are the verse. You in verse. Guys, you are a line in the living poem that is creation. A thought of being, a thought of a thought by something infinite. A voice within a voice. A reflection within a reflection. A mirror of a mirror of a mirror. If you are in the verse, your word matters. If you are in the verse, your choices matter. If you are in the verse, your compassion matters. Because every moment that you are writing another line, every decision, you are another sentence. Every act of kindness is another stanza in the story that is humanity. And when millions of people begin writing verses of patience, verses of courage, verses of forgiveness, verses of love, the entire poem of the world begins to change. Not by force, not by domination, but by reflection. One reflection calming another until the ripples settle, until the water becomes clear again, until humanity finally recognizes its own face in the mirror. So maybe the question is not what will the world become, but maybe the question is this: what reflection will I offer it today? Because the universe is experiencing this moment through you, through me, through our choices, through the quiet influence of your presence. You are in the verse. You are the verse. You in verse. And Father spoke you and me into the beginning. So through us, Mother and Father could reflect, learn, and remember what truly matters. So be mindful of what we speak. Be mindful of what we think. Because what matters is always reflecting what matters. So walk into the world with courage. Walk into the world with compassion. Walk into the world remembering that the same breath of life that animates you animates me and everyone we meet. And when enough of us remember that truth, that reflection will become settled. It will become still. And humanity will finally see clearly that we were never separate. And when that day comes, peace will look like a freaking mirror, not a miracle. And it will simply feel like remembering. So I thank you for listening, and I love you, because you are me, I'm you, and we are he and she. Peace, love.